Hi everyone, I'm Michael. I'm a producer on the artist support team at Artsadmin, and this is my friend, The Plan. We're here today because we thought it would be really useful to share with you some resources around a case for support. Now, a few months back, we held a session with the brilliant Philippa Barr, who is an associate at Artsadmin, amongst other things. And in that session, we were talking about fundraising. And there were lots of topics covered about how to approach funders, what kind of company you should be registered to be. But the core thing that I took away from that is that before any of that starts, what you need is a case for support. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, a case for support is a document that generally is associated with much larger organizations and companies. And what it does is that it holds the core principles of why an organization should exist and how it should gain money. But what I was interested in, and what I've been working with artists on, is building case for support no matter where you are in your career. This could be a document for an emerging artist who's just at the beginning of their career, all the way to a really established company that wants to refocus what their values are and make sure that everybody's in alignment. So what is a case for support? Well, fundamentally, it's a document that sits within an organization, doesn't need to be shared externally, and it outlines your mission, so what it is that you as a company are about, your values, what it is that you care about, and how it is that you show that, the importance of those things, so why it is that you should be a part of the artistic landscape, and urgency. Urgency is about both what it is that you're doing and why it's important, and why others should be involved in the urgency of supporting you. It doesn't just need to be about money. It can really help focus a team or a project to make sure that everybody understands what it is that you're doing together. There are many formats that this document could take, but today what we're going to focus on is working on this as a 2 to 7 page internal document. There are a few questions that we're going to go through today. Hopefully, when we go through them, it'll help you, whether you're a solo artist or whether you're a company of 30 people, define a little bit better who it is that you are and what it is that you care about. Now, the first question is, who are you? Who are you as a company? Who are you as an individual artist? What are the values that are really important to your practice that you try to not just embody in your everyday life, but you really try to bring to the arts world that you're working in? It's really important for us to get a clear sense of who you are. And I would say be as reductive as possible. Go back to the beginning. Let us know maybe where you're from. Let us know about how it is that you got to where you are today and what it is that you really care about. The second point for you to focus on is what is it that you've accomplished in the past? So what is your track record? That could be about funding, but that could also be about impact. That could be about engagement. That could be who you reach. That could be how you reach them. That could be accomplishments in terms of recognition, but it could also be accomplishments in terms of artistic projects that you realized or praise that you received from important people. Whatever it is, I would say be a little bit bold and don't be afraid to show off your skills a bit. This is also a really good chance to talk about your previous impact in the arts. So what other companies have you collaborated with? Have you influenced other artists? Have you had mentoring schemes? Are there artists that you've spoken with who you feel that because of your conversation you've supported them? No thing is too small. Gather everything together that says that you are a company or you are an artist and you've had impact and you've really created some positive change. And that could be on a really, really local level, that could be on a national level, or that could be on an international level. In fact, it might be a good idea to think about all three as you go through this second question. The third question is the same thing, but about the future. So what is it that your vision is? And can you outline that for us? What kind of impact do you hope that you or your company will have? What kind of change in the world do you or your company hope to make? I think it's really good to be ambitious here, to really embrace the idea that you as a company might be able to impact some positive, creative, and social change and really make a difference for some people's lives. This is something that I would really encourage you to think about, not just in terms of your artistic practice, but also in terms of your engagement. about how are you reaching people who might be creatives who want some support in developing their own companies? Are there mentorship schemes here that you could begin to develop? Do you have an interest in opening up a branch of education opportunities? Do you want to offer that to artists, or do you want to offer that to community members? Again, really focusing here on both the local, the national, and the international impact will help you later down the road when you start to be in conversations with funders or with interested parties who might be not so familiar with your work or not so familiar with the work of your country. That could open you up to perhaps international collaborations in a really seamless way. The next question is, why does your work matter? This is a place for you to pour your passion about why it is that you do what you do. Why should somebody with money, why should an audience really want to get behind your work and support you in your vision? So get us excited about this. What is it that you're doing that is so unique that everybody should come and see it? And I would think that this is a good space to answer that question for an audience, to answer that question for some kind of local body, so a city or a council, and then answer that for a trust or foundation, so somebody that might be more interested in charitable causes and not so much have a solid understanding of the intricate qualities of an arts practice. So separating all three of those will give you a lot of information to work with and really help you build a perspective on why it is that your work is so valuable. Within this question of why does your work matter, you can start to think about what it is that you can achieve with additional resources. So that, of course, can be money, but that's also about access to certain networks, whether that's on a local, national, or international level. It could be access to audiences, it could be certain resources, tools, stages. So maybe you need some technology that you don't have right now. Maybe it's access to certain knowledge. Maybe you want some training before you're able to fully achieve what it is that you want to do. Whatever it is, start to think about what it is that's the barrier between you and this vision that you're really excited about for us. So that we, as either audiences or as arts organizations or as funders, can start to really creatively think about how we could support you and get involved in your idea. With this last question, it's where you start to get a little bit concrete. And that can be a little bit challenging for artists because some of this is so speculative and seems so far down the road that it's hard to think about what it is that you actually need or want. But try to look at all of these questions about what are the additional resources that you need, and as best you can, pull them into some kind of financial reality. So what is the fundraising or the operational goal? So that could be a number, that could be a team desire. So it could be, for example, that you need to have an executive producer and you want to have an engagement officer to make your dreams come true. It could also be that right now you're operating with an annual operating budget of, I don't know, maybe £20,000 as a company. And what you're hoping is that in the next 5 years you can stretch that to 100 or 150,000 pounds. It might be uncomfortable at first how much you're asking for, but just try it on and see what you can do with it. Within this question of what is your goal, it's valuable to state again why it is that you are asking for money. So reminding us again, tying back to your core values, what it is that this money will be supporting, who it will be supporting, and how. Within this operational goal, it's also really, really valuable to think about what the cost of making your work is. So go back to the beginning and think about if you were to pay yourself and everybody on your team, everybody in your company, a fair wage. If there was no volunteer hours, but that everything that you do, you get a salary or you get an hourly rate. Think about all of the touring and traveling that you might be doing. Think about the hiring of spaces for workshops or engagement. Think about printing. Think about the technology. What are the costs to make your work happen? When you look back at your ways of operating, try to pay yourself. try to think about how much it would actually cost to sustainably fund your arts practice from an administrative and a creative side. Your work is valuable and it has value. So think about how that can translate into financial goals. Again, it might be a little bit uncomfortable, you might feel a little bit uncertain. There's some great resources there on ITC about how much you should ethically be paying yourself. I'll link to some of those down in the notes, but make sure that what you're doing is thinking about how to build a full company for the long term. You cannot operate on no money forever. This is a chance for you to grow. So by putting this case for support together, you start to get a clear picture of what it is that you as an artist or a company are about. And then you start to get a sense of what it is that you need to grow. So next time you get into a room or next time you're approached by somebody and they say, hey, we're here to help, what do you need? Or maybe you're saying to somebody, we need help, and they say, tell me what you need. You'll know. The worst thing is that if you're caught off guard and you don't have the best answer, because sometimes these things come out of nowhere and you never know. So it's best now to prepare to answer the questions of what it is that I need, how much do I need, when do I need it, what's our plan, and what makes us really, really special. Thanks again to Philippa Barr for this brilliant advice. This is not my wisdom, it is all hers. If you have any questions, you can always contact Artsadmin through advisory service at artsadmin.co.uk. Thanks everybody. Thanks Plant. See you soon.